We are continuing our cyclo ride on the front of a pedicab through the old quarter of Hanoi. It's one of the world's most fascinating neighborhoods, and it's really quite small. It's only about a half a square mile, but it has so many sites packed in that it makes a really fascinating place to visit. And it's especially easy to see it from the very comfortable front seat of a cyclo. As we continue on our cyclo ride, the map shows the route of this section of the tour through the old quarter of Hanoi. Family of 4 on a scooter, it's a wild ride through the streets of Hanoi in the old quarter. It's life out on the sidewalk. Notice this guy welding stuff right on the sidewalk on the corner of the street. They have small factories here. There's shops at every door. There's restaurants. There's little hotels. Stores selling similar items often cluster together on a block, which makes it very convenient for the shopper. Here we've got a bunch of toy stores. It's been that way here for hundreds of years, where each street focuses on selling a particular item, whether it was cloth or silver or clay bowls or hemp. It was all very specialized. Rolling along on our cyclo through the heart of the old quarter of Hanoi. This is a great way to see the place. You can sit back and relax while your driver does all the work, for which he'll be well paid. About $10 an hour for a personalized bicycle tour. So that's a really good deal. It's a really pleasant way to see the place. And this is definitely one of the most fascinating towns in the world. And the old quarter is the heart of Hanoi. It's a big district. They say 36 streets, but there's really more than that here. So let's keep looking. Just sit back and enjoy the ride and soak up all these visuals. All kinds of fascination to observe as you roll through the old quarter. By tradition, the streets in the old quarter are named after the goods that were once produced and traded there, such as Sugar Street and Silver Street. And people do not know when or why, but the rows of houses along the streets were often built in a long and narrow configuration, with a small front size that looks like a very small house, but it extends quite deep behind the facade. So in this manner, the old house had a shop perhaps in the front, and then behind that was an open-air yard to catch the air and light, and behind that was the living area, and then finally behind that is the utility area. And most of these houses were one story, and they'd have a wall around them. Some houses had an additional garret that did not have any doors, so these small-sized pipe-shaped houses were used for workshops and selling areas and living areas. These streets were always hustle and bustle all day long, which has become the identity and attractiveness of the ancient streets today in Hanoi. Well, it's dinner time, so these restaurants are even busier than they are throughout the day as twilight comes down. As we round the bend, we approach a very interesting street for the traveler, Ma Mei Street, because you have a lot of hotels and travel agencies and a little bit more modern shops and backpacker facilities here. So this would be a place that you might want to have a closer look at if you're looking for a nice hotel that's quite affordable right in the heart of the old quarter. At dinner time, the streets get a little bit less busy. You can see it's slightly less crowded than it was earlier, because people are now settling in and sitting down and looking for a place to eat or have a beer, maybe finish up their shopping. And particularly along this street, it's one of the wider streets, and it does have a lot of these travel agencies and tourist information centers. You'll be surprised at how many nice day trips you can take out from Hanoi You can get out into nature, get away from the city, go visit some of the rural areas, maybe go hiking. You can go canoeing and boating. And the most popular trip, the excursion to Halong Bay. We'll be showing you some of that in our series on Hanoi. And all of those sorts of arrangements you can make right on this particularly busy street, along with the half a dozen nice hotels they've got here. And it's over on the eastern edge of the old quarter, Mamay Street. You can see there's over a dozen travel agencies. Look at these goods on a bicycle. Bicycles are used here as cargo trucks. You don't see nearly as many bicycles today, of course, in Vietnam as you would have 20 years ago. Just like in China, there used to be more bicycles than motor scooters. But nowadays, the motor scooters outnumber bicycles, it looks like about 50 to 1. There's still some bicycles, and they do a lot of work here. Tourism in Hanoi is booming, with over 14 million tourists a year coming in. Now, 12 million of those are domestic tourists, fellow Vietnamese traveling and exploring and appreciating their capital city of Hanoi, while 2 million visitors a year are international tourists. And it has been showing significant growth every year in tourism. For example, last year, tourists from Korea increased by 50%. Tourists from Singapore increased by 50%. From Japan, there was a 32% increase, and so on. Big gains. And these tourism numbers are expected to continue growing. This year, they may have as many as 16 million tourists. Again, most of those are domestic, perhaps 14 million are coming from within the country of Vietnam. Hanoi has been ranked very highly among the cities of Asia. It's in the top 10 destinations according to Smart Travel Tourist Magazine. They did a survey of their 5 million readers and of their journalists worldwide and found that Hanoi was ranked number 6 among the top 10 destinations in Asia. And from these fascinating street scenes, you can understand its popularity. We'll be bringing you more of Hanoi in part 3.